Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. I'm Harry Donahue, and let me take you back. The year was 1958. Ike was in the White House. The New York Yankees beat the Braves in the World Series. That's the Milwaukee Braves. The Colts, the Baltimore Colts, and the New York Giants staged possibly the best ever NFL championship game, an overtime thrower won by Baltimore at Yankee Stadium. And the PGA Championship was held right here at the Llanerch Country Club in Havertown. And the winner was Dow Finsterwald. Well, Dow Finsterwald is back right here at Llanerch. And he's coming up and joining us next on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management, helping you build, manage, and preserve wealth. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf.
Free enterprise is the engine that drives our economy. Everyday businesses, big and small, work to make life better for their customers and a better life for themselves. Susquehanna knows successful businesses need a strong financial partner, someone who can help keep your business running at peak efficiency. The people of Susquehanna Bank, doing what counts for businesses like yours. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. And yes, here we are at Llanerch Golf Club, and we're in Havertown, Pennsylvania. And this is almost like a second home to Dow Finsterwald, who back in 1958 won the PGA Championship here. First of all, Dow, it's great to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be with you. It's quite a thrill to come back to Llanerch. Membership is tremendous. The course, they've just done a wonderful job in the conditioning, and the whole atmosphere is very enjoyable.
I know you were back a few years ago for the 50th anniversary of the PGA Championship you won here. You're back now because this is the inaugural year of the Finsterwald Cup, which is a competition for amateurs in the Philadelphia area. So Dow Finsterwald's legacy continues here at Llanerch.
Well, the field is, I think it's 26. They must be 26 and over and have a combined handicap, which is like the index 7, I believe. So I got to see a lot of fine golf this morning. These guys have played before.
Well, Dow, nobody played this course as well as you did back in 1958. Just to go back there, you weren't in the lead into the final round, but you were, at the end, the champion, and you were only one of two players in the entire field to shoot under par. Par was 70, and I think you finished 3 under, and Billy Casper finished 1 under, and Sam Snead, who had the lead going into the final round, had some problems on that final 18 and finished at 73.
Sam had a hard time over, I believe it was the 12th hole, was a 3-par. And I had hit a very poor shot to the green and was stymied by a tree. And some way I got it over the tree, and I made about a 12-foot putt on not the smoothest surface. And so that was more luck than skill.
Take me back. Would you compare what happened, what the course was like then and what it's like now, what you've seen of Llanerch? Has it changed dramatically in the years since you won?
Well, I see some trees gone. I guess a tornado came through and got a group of trees there at the left of the 16th hole. That's opened up, and they've lost 1 tree here at 18 where there were 3. There's now 2, but the 2 protect that right side quite nicely.
What about in terms of the overall, crowd size? There was something like 15,000 people turned out, I think, to see you play in that final round of 18 in 1958. How did that compare to some of the other major attendances?
Well, I think that was very comparable. It may not have been as much as Augusta, but even at that time, Augusta, you could walk in and buy a ticket on the day of play.
Of the final round, right?
Yeah, and not quite like that now.
How about, you played in a golden era of golf, I think it's safe to say, back in the late 50s and early 60s, and you were very much involved in competition, all the majors. I know You won here in '58. In 1960, you had a great year. You finished third in the U.S. Open. I'm not sure where the tournament was played that year.
That was Cherry Hills in Denver.
Oh, that's the year that Arnold won, right?
Shot 65 in the last round. Instead of 75, he shot 65.
And Arnold won the Masters that year in a playoff with yourself and who, Gary Player?
Well, that was 62.
62, okay.
But yes.
And another year you finished third, I think.
Well, 60.
In
You
60.
were absolutely correct there.
Okay.
But
so you almost won a green jacket. What was that like, coming this close and not being able to seal the deal and having Arnold beat you in that playoff?
Sure, it was disappointing. I was disappointed, but I've tried not to dwell on what might have been and what could have been, or I wouldn't say should have been, but yeah, too many good things have happened on the golf course for me.
But you hit the tour when, in the early 50s?
I played after I got out of college in 1952. I'd been an ROTC graduate, and I was called to active duty that fall. So I had about 4 months in the summer of '52, and I had turned professional in December of '51. You had to be a pro 6 months before you could collect prize money at that time. So the timing was more or less set up so when I did graduate, I'd be eligible.
And the tour, as we know, was nothing like what it is today. There was a lot of individual traveling. You didn't have the accommodations that these fellows have today, and obviously you didn't have the money that's available for these guys. I think in 1958 you won a total of $5,500 when you won here at Llanerch.
That is correct.
First place, $5,500. Caddies for 2 rounds were probably making more than that in this year's PGA Championship.
Oh my gosh.
But like you said, that's the way it was, and you can't look back,
and we were happy to get it.
Right. How much, in terms of endorsement money, was available? For instance, when you won in 1958 the PGA Championship here at Llanerch, were you able to capitalize a little bit with off-the-course money?
Some, but again, like the prize money, it wasn't. Mark McCormick made a big difference in all that when he
was the agent.
IMG, he originated that in sports management, and of course he branched out into other sports also. But he took Arnold as his Arnold wanted one man represented him, and Mark turned out to be it, and it was a relationship that lasted for, well, ever.
It was a, shall we say, lucrative relationship
for both.
For both. We'll take a break. We'll be back with the 1958 PGA Championship winner, Dow Finsterwald, on the site of that accomplishment, Llanerch Country Club. Back with Dow on Inside Golf in just a moment.
At this moment, across the country, families are packing their bags for a getaway. And no matter where they end up, they'll all be home by dinner. Plan your own at playgolfamerica.com. From finding fun and affordable programs to finding advice from PGA and LPGA professionals, playgolfamerica.com has a way for you to get away. Visit today for details. playgolfamerica.com, your link to the game.
Welcome back to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Today we are at the Llanerch Country Club in Havertown with the 1958 PGA champion, Dow Finsterwald, who's back here at Llanerch to help celebrate the inaugural Finsterwald Cup. It's an amateur competition, better ball partners here at Llanerch for some of the better amateur golfers in Philadelphia. And Dow, we were just talking before the break about money, prize money. You won $5,500 for winning the PGA Championship. There have been no noticeable changes from back in the late 50s to where we are today in terms of the PGA Tour. It has grown by leaps and bounds in terms of popularity and television and exposure and the opportunity that these golfers have today. And it's really a global sport, more so than just isolated in the U.S. Is that some of the bigger changes that you've seen?
Well, certainly expansion of international golf, and it was somewhat fostered by Augusta, because they would, along with the American professionals and amateurs they would invite, they would take an outstanding player from various countries, and that opened up international golf to a degree. But
and you see today a lot of the guys from Europe are coming over and making their homes in Florida so they can play more regularly on the PGA Tour.
yeah,
So that has to help the PGA Tour.
They have their families closer
Sure.
to them, and it makes it.
They're not crossing the pond 5 or 6 times a year. Let me talk about equipment. I'm curious. When you played here at Llanerch in 1958, what were you hitting the ball off the tee? What was your average drive?
I guess I was around 240 to 50 along in there, always depending on what kind of fairways the condition
and the
of
kind of roll you got
Yes.
on the run out. And where did that stack up in terms of the competition?
Oh, I certainly wasn't the longest, but I wasn't the shortest either. I'd say I was middle of the pack, so distance-wise anyway.
And now when you watch a tournament today and you see a Bubba Watson maybe hitting a 5-iron, 240, 250 yards, are you, like everybody else, amazed at what these young players are doing?
Very much so, but they say a 5-iron. Well, the 5-iron that we played with, not what the club did, but what they have done to adjust the loft. Where a 5-iron might have been 28 degrees, now it's 25 or so, and that
Makes
like
a
having an old 3-iron.
3-iron, okay.
But again, there's no way you can take it away from these guys. They're bigger. They've had good instruction from the beginning. The video has improved the ability of the teachers, and they're bigger, like all sports.
Everything's different.
And they talk about how much money the tour guys are winning and making. You get pitchers, you know, they sign for 180 million, and their arm might blow out next week.
Absolutely.
So
Let's go back to those days when you were on tour and traveling around. Were the players closer to each other? Did you spend more time? We hear about, for instance, you mentioned the Ryder Cup, and one of the secrets to maybe the Euro's success of late has been they're closer as a team, and they have more of a team concept because of their relationships than the Americans do now, because most American guys, they flying on their own jets and things like that here and there. How about back in your day? Were you closer to the guys you played against?
You make a very good point, and a lot of that I attribute to the automobile. That was our form of transportation in many cases. The scheduling was done so you could do it by automobile. For instance, you start the year, we started the year, the first tournament was traditionally Los Angeles. You'd go up the coast to Pebble Beach, down
That
to
must have been fun, Pebble Beach.
Well,
huh?
that was
The old clam bake, the Crosby clam bake.
even if the weather was bad, it was a great place to be. And the weather did get bad occasionally. But then you go to San Diego, then to Phoenix, Tucson, gradually work your way across the southern part of our country and play at Wilmington, North Carolina the week before the Masters, and the winter tour so it would end pretty much with Augusta. Many of the players in the winter had club jobs, and after the first part of April they needed to get back to Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, Detroit.
Tell me about some of the characters on tour. Let me just throw a couple names out there and give me an initial reaction. And a guy that finished here at Llanerch in the top 10 the year you won, 1958, Tommy Bolt, who I believe won the Open that year in 1958.
He was the Open champion when we came here. You're correct. He won in Tulsa, I believe, Southern Hills, and they called him Terrible Tommy because of his temper. He was a great showman and a marvelous striker of the golf ball.
How about your very good friend, Arnold Palmer?
Well, you just can't say enough, find enough adjectives to describe what a wonderful person he is. Granted, he has made a lot of money, but he has raised so much money for different charities just by his mere attendance to cocktail parties. He was I recall when the senior tour started, he was the honorary chairman for the March of Dimes. And they'd call him, and he said, sure, I'll come. Well, they'd have a early evening cocktail party and to raise money. And with his presence, the money that was raised was how many times multiplied, I'm not sure. But just his presence, and he didn't know how to say no.
It's no wonder he had the title of king, huh?
Well, well-deserved, and a benevolent king.
How about Ben Hogan?
Well, Ben wasn't the most outgoing person, but he was one of the most courteous players on the golf course, respecting the other players. And he did a lot of nice things off the camera and off the course that people aren't aware of. And
Speaking of Hogan, of course, his comeback win here in Philadelphia at Murray in 1950, and you were telling me before we went on the air that you played in that event as an amateur.
Yeah, that was my first U.S. Open. I had qualified at Oakmont, actually, in Pittsburgh, and went back to Athens and then stopped at Oakmont on my way driving to Philadelphia to play here. But I got some lessons from Lou Worsham there at Oakmont, and didn't make the cut, but wasn't because of the instruction I got.
You know, Dow, you grew up in Athens, Ohio. It is the home of your alma mater, the University of Ohio, the Bobcats, and I would say the only other more prominent maybe athlete to come out of there, a guy that means a lot to Philadelphia baseball fans, Mike Schmidt, who also played baseball at the University
almost,
of Ohio.
Yeah. He and I were, well, not at the same time, but we belonged to the same fraternity.
Really?
There.
Have you ever played golf with Mike?
Once. But he knows which end of the club to hold.
Well, great, maybe arguably the best third baseman ever. Certainly in Philadelphia, we consider him that, and we consider you sort of an adopted son of Philadelphia.
Well,
what you mean, not only to Llanerch, but the Philadelphia area.
Well, it's been a wonderful time coming here. I stayed downtown at the old Warwick Hotel, and a lot of great memories, and certainly a lot here at Llanerch.
Well, you made those memories here at Llanerch. We want to thank you for joining us here on Inside Golf.
Well, I've enjoyed visiting with you. And
let's make a date for next year. You got it?
At least at the 60th.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Dow Finsterwald joining us here at Llanerch, the site of his 1958 PGA Championship. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management, continues in just a moment with Teed Off.
He does the stretching thing. He's got the cigar out.
If you haven't seen it already, I'd like to introduce you to Jersey Man Magazine, published by former Eagle tight end Ken Dunnick. It's the only men's magazine in our area. Enjoy articles on cigars, politics, and, of course, golf. Written by big-time journalists. And even more exciting news. Philly Man Magazine debuts this summer. Subscriptions are only $20 a year and are available at jerseymanmagazine.com.
Valley Forge Casino Resort, we're rolling out the action. So take us for a spin. For the win. Valley Forge Casino Resort. It's safe, it's chic, and only a shuffle away from the main line.
Guests of Teed Off receive gift certificates to any of the 8 restaurants at Valley Forge Casino at King of Prussia.
Right. He's come back and he's playing as good as he ever has.
The lad's got to bring his legs.
Welcome back to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. It's time for Teed Off, and we're here at the Valley Forge Casino Resort at the Pacific Prime Restaurant with our panel that includes Herb McGee, Hall of Fame basketball coach at Philadelphia University. Coach is going to, I think, make another landmark move and get to 1,000 wins, right?
Possibly, yes, this year.
Am I jumping ahead of myself here?
No, it should happen, hopefully.
It should. And Herb, always a pleasure.
My
Mike
pleasure.
Kern, award-winning golf writer and sports writer for the Philadelphia Daily News, no stranger to Teed Off. And Bob Shepard's back with us. Bob, pro here in the Philadelphia section for years, gives lessons up at Five Ponds and is an author and a writer and a blogger and
I
all
may
that
be visiting Bob soon.
You need his help?
Yes, well, you could always use help.
ShepardGolf.com is where you can follow Bob Shepard. One of the more interesting stories of the year in golf, I think, and Mike, you were up close and personal at the Masters this past spring, is Miguel Angel Jimenez. He's over 50 now, but you'd never know it from what he's accomplished this year. He was in the hunt for the Masters as late as Sunday on the back nine.
Yes.
He won right after that his first Champions Tour event. And then he goes back to Europe, to his native Spain, and he wins the Spanish Open against all the flat stomach guys. And I mean, they call him the most interesting man in the world, and this year he's living up into it.
He's one of those guys. We were rooting for him. And nothing against Jordan Spieth or Bubba or whatever, but it would just be a great story. And it probably won't happen because he's over 50, but just the way he carries himself. He has fun. He does the stretching thing. He's got the cigar out to here. I'm sure he drinks a lot of fine wine. He's got the ponytail thing going. It's just, you talk about guys like there's only one of them. I don't think there's another one of him floating around, or at least I haven't seen him.
Now, Bob, I know you played a lot of golf in Spain back in your playing days. You never had a chance, though, to tee it up with Angel.
No, my blessing was Seve. I did play with Seve, and Angel, I didn't never get a chance to roam around with him. But you could see by
like to, though,
oh my God. With his antics.
Well, Seve's not a bad playing partner either.
He's a lot of fun, but I think Harry was talking about the 19th hole.
I think the 19th and beyond, 20, right. 21.
Yeah, we would have had a heck of a time, no doubt about it. But he was in that era back then. I mean, that was an era when that was all correct. Today, he's an albino. He's a strange animal in today's world because everybody's, they're
in fitness
exactly training and
camps and trailers and all that.
Psychiatrists and stuff. He's just doing it the right way. He's doing it correctly, and it's showing up. And by the way, you can see the other guys too. Look at the older guys, couples. How many guys you got now around 50 that are scary? Yeah. And especially in a place like Augusta.
You look at Llanerch, though. He looks like he's still going to the fitness trailers.
He does.
Well, Miguel says, "Hey, well, on your way back, get me a couple of red."
Exactly.
It brings up the whole argument, I think, or discussion, Herb, of are golfers really athletes? There's no other sport where a guy over 50 can do what he's doing right now in his particular sport. I don't think, not even in NASCAR, let alone basketball, baseball, football, or anything else, where a guy his age can still compete on a world-class level like Jimenez.
So I would think it would depend on your definition of athlete.
Anybody that's teed up and played one hole of golf knows it takes a little athleticism.
Tremendous athletic ability. So if you're going to include that, I mean, they say boxers are the best athletes because of their physical condition. But as far as playing golf, I play as much golf as I can, and I consider myself a pretty good athlete, and I'm not very good at golf. I want to tell you, I admire these guys, what these guys can do. My question would be about him is the fact that he can't win at a place like Augusta and sustain it for 4 days is part of the fact that he's not fit.
Freddie or
no,
Jimenez.
I don't think Jimenez lost because of that. I think in Freddie's case, it comes down to a putting issue, which is the problem, I guess, with a lot of them. Although Bernhard, was right in there pretty much. I mean, he didn't really have a chance to win, but at his age to do what he did. I think with Freddie, it's more a thing of just the putting
because of his back too, right?
No, I don't think it's a back thing.
No?
I think it's a mental thing on the greens that you have to keep making 5-footers over and over and over again. I think at some point that wears on you a little bit. Now, I don't know if that was the reason I think Miguel took a triple bogey on one of the holes or a couple doubles, but I think the older you get, I think the mental part of it is almost harder than the physical part of it. I think you could stick Fred out in Augusta tomorrow and he'll shoot 68.
Yeah.
But to do it for 4 days.
He does it. I mean, there courses for horses, and that's certainly one for him that just sets up for Freddie Couples. Mm-hmm. But getting back to Jimenez, here's a guy a year and a half ago, Bob, broke his leg in a skiing accident.
Yeah.
I mean, at that age, everybody kind of said, well, good luck in retirement.
Right.
He's come back, and he's playing as good as he ever has.
The last guy to break his leg was Mickelson. Remember, he was Rookie of the Year, and he goes skiing out in, where the heck was Jackson Hole.
Right.
And a matter of fact, I think he was getting a lesson from...
but he wasn't 49 years old.
No, he was a kid. He was a child.
Exactly.
He's expected to be senseless, But Jimenez, you'd think, would be sitting back in the spa somewhere, relaxing. But anyhow, make a long story short, he's got the will to live. That's the difference right there. He's not done yet. The money doesn't mean anything to all those guys anymore. I mean, that's over their threshold at the moment, but he wants to play.
And the other thing is, I mean, here it is. We're in Ryder Cup here, Herb. This guy he's fighting for a spot on the European Ryder Cup.
Oh, I would
team.
take him.
He's
for sure.
If I'm the Ryder Cup, and I don't know who they're I'm trying to think
who is their captain.
It's
is it Ian?
It's the McKinley, Paul McKinley.
Paul McKinley.
The only negative is he's got his age, and
that only means he might not be able to play 36 holes the first 2 days. But the Europeans have enough guys, and if I was the Ryder Cup captain, And I'd go back, I have to look at his record, but I think he has a very good record even in singles. Most of the Europeans do because they wind up winning a lot. I would take him. I mean, I don't know
Like
what other guys
Spieth
he's
with
going to
the
have to
President's
choose
Cup.
from.
You had to take him. You know?
It's similar. Remember when Darren Clark won
Yes.
the British Open a few years ago? I think if Jimenez is on that team, even if he only plays a single match, he is going to be
But
a
Darren
crowd
hadn't done
pleaser.
anything in a couple of years. Darren,
That's true.
Jimenez has been a guy who's been out there
Competing.
and competing and winning. You know, the Darren Clark thing was just one of those fairy tale out of the blue stories, great story. I would take Jimenez. I mean, I don't know who they're going to leave off to take him.
He's got the will.
He's on my team.
Yep.
You know, it's funny when you often have the question, who was you put in your dream foursome? You know, well, I got Herb McGee and Miguel Angel Jimenez. Maybe we need one. I don't know, but I would love to see you and Miguel walking down the fairway. Him with the stogie and you with the walk and the whole
Sure,
deal.
maybe Jimmy
And
Lynam.
you can teach him basketball.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. Show him how to shoot a basketball.
basketball.
Maybe he could help me with my golf swing.
After the second hole.
Barkley, Charles would be great.
Oh,
Huh?
well, you've been there with that.
I have been. I have been a number of times.
That was
And he
just
wasn't as bad as he appears to be now.
Tell me a quick
Vertical
story.
hold,
At Llanerch, it happened. I don't know if you or Jimmy told me. Jimmy Lynam told me the story back in the day when Charles had a relatively good
Yes,
game.
he did.
Yes, he did.
And on 18, you know, it's a short par 4. And somebody gave him the wrong yardage.
They
for
gave
his
him the
second
wrong
shot.
yardage. Then he put
And
it
where'd
to
he
the put it to the window of the bar. Guys are ducking behind. They don't know what to do.
They
Up
put a
in the
plaque up
grill.
there for
Yeah,
him?
I think they might have.
plaques
I don't know
in
how
mine?
long it took them to fix that plate glass window, but he put a shot through there because I was in the group with him.
Yeah.
And I
He
said, "What are
probably
you
took
doing?"
his money based
Oh,
on
without
that.
question, sure. I probably gave him the club.
There you go. You gave him the
The
yardage.
yardage.
You gave him the yardage. There you go.
Herb McGee, Mike Kern, and Bob Shepard. Our hats are off to the mechanic, the most interesting man in the world, Angel Miguel Jimenez. Keep it going. And we'll be back with Inside Golf in just a moment. The Valley Forge Casino Resort is the region's only full amenity gaming resort, and it's only seconds from the Pennsylvania Turnpike at King of Prussia. It features 600 slots, 50 table games, plus 8 restaurants designed to meet all of your dining needs. So put the beautiful Valley Forge Casino Resort on your destination list.
Honey, what are all these cash rewards?
Stellar Checking with Smart Rewards. We earn cash on check card purchases and when we transfer money from our Stellar Checking into our savings account.
Cool. How should we spend them?
Stellar.
Stellar. Probably groceries.
Stellar Checking from Susquehanna Bank. Earn cash rewards whether you're spending or saving. Member FDIC.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf, and our thanks to Dow Finsterwald for reliving his 1958 PGA Championship here at the Llanerch Country Club. I'm Harry Donahue, and remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up. And we'll see you next time on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management, helping you build, manage, and preserve wealth. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf.